What is going on YouTube? This is Ask the Root. So I'm going to review the 2013 mixtape by Jelly Roll, and basically this project is called Whiskey, Weed, and Waffle House. Now there's another version of this album that's also called Whiskey, Weed, and Women, just because Waffle House wasn't completely sold on that concept. But the concept, I feel like the more interesting album title is Whiskey, Weed, and Waffle House. This has so much more of an effectual kind of one. It's just that much more engaging. It definitely feels like the lifestyle. Lots of folks went to Waffle House, like Cut Calhoun, Tech Nine, Jelly Roll, folks like that. Just more low key rappers in that sort of context. I mean, Waffle House is just a popular place and that sort of stuff. So I definitely encourage that. But this is just an overall excellent mixtape. There's not a lot of information about it. Like Jelly Roll does have a wiki page, but it's not overly abundantly talked about, just because he really blew up just within the past couple years, basically the 2020s decade forward, with albums like Self-Medicated, Ballads of the Broken, and then his recent 2023 album Witsit Chapel. It's more the singing kind of country rock Jelly Roll. That's been the reason why he got this page. But this is definitely, I mean, he had a page, but this is definitely one of the more notable ones. So this mixtape is pretty awesome. I'm just going to go ahead and say I can't tell if it has a single just because there's not a bunch of information about it. And like critic reviews is very sparse. Like there's just not much in terms of that. There were a couple of reviews on like Rate Your Music, but they just basically gave it like a half star out of 5, which by no means is this like a 1 or a 2 out of 10 project, because like a half star out of 5 would be like a 1 out of 10. So I don't see this as like a 1. No, in no shape do I see this as like a 1 out of 10 album. But there's just not. This is a mixtape that you can get for free, so that's definitely something. It is on Spotify though, and I think that there's like a different version of this project. I want to say that it might have been released for retail, not really sure, but I found, you can get this mixtape as a download, and I definitely recommend doing it. It's just an overall kick-ass project. This would have to say this is like, I reviewed an album by Lil White and Jelly Roll back in 2016 or so called No Filter. So Jelly Roll had a pretty good 2013 between that No Filter album and this. It's just the fact that when he does rap, he finds some pretty litty beats. He's definitely like a White version of Tech Nine and Hopsin and some of those more introspective rappers. He's very similar to that kind of vibe. Cut Calhoun, Tech Nine, some of those type folks. Lil White. Even, I mean, Lil White is white, but it's similar to those type folks. It's more low key, those type folks that just kind of more of those rappers that are low key and that type of stuff. I just would have to say, in terms of this, I'll go ahead and talk about some of the songs I enjoyed. So basically, there's 21 songs on here, but the thing about it is, I can't really tell the singles. I looked up on YouTube to see if there were any music videos released from this project so I could see what the singles were, but there really weren't. So I just don't know the degree as to how much this project was emphasized. That's how minimal kind of information and relay that there is about this project. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that the most popular song of the Spotify version of this album that I saw was Dope Boy, which is a pretty good song. This is definitely, yeah, Dope Boy is basically like a parading, kind of triumphant and like a haunted kind of way type song. It's definitely kind of a more glaring and leery type song. I definitely like the concept about Dope Boy. I mean, it's not one that I would have recommended as like a single, but it is a pretty bravado induced kind of one. It's just a very triumphant kind of horrorcore, almost like very low key underground kind of terrorizing kind of rap song in that sense. I definitely like the concept about it. It's just not pretty much something that probably would have broadcasted the album. There are some songs on here, like songs like Living My Life, Never Give Up, and So Long have some of these kind of more pop rapish kind of hooks. So Jelly Roll was trying to break for the mainstream even way back in 2013, and he's been around since like 2005 or further. He was producing for like Exhibit and people, West Coast artists and that type of stuff. So he's been in the game for quite some time. It's just interesting to kind of say that if you think that Dope Boy is good, but it's not really that commercial bite or something that has like that crossover, if you need something with a little bit more gleam to it, there are some songs on here. It's just not the most popular song on here. So Dope Boy definitely has that kind of creeping, kind of terrorizing type feel towards it in like a haunting sense. That's a good one. So there are a lot of songs to recommend on this project. There's 20 songs on here. On the mixtape version, there's 21 songs, and out of those 21 songs, there's only one skit, which is just DJ Highlight Speaks. So there's basically 20 songs on here, and out of those 20, I wound up liking 16. Yeah, I wound up liking 16 songs out of 20. So that's pretty damn good. This is definitely, you can tell this is going to get a high score. But I think it just would be easier to say the four songs I didn't enjoy, and then I'll just dissect it from there. So the four songs I didn't enjoy were just the intro, the outro, which were just kind of sporadic songs, and then like Champions and Dream While I'm Awake. So Champions was an okay song. This had a pretty crossover pop rap type hook on here. Champions had a pretty crossover pop rap type hook on here, but it just was a little bit too starry eyed and overly optimistic for my taste. It was just trying to be like a real feel good song that just didn't, was a little bit more unctuous than it probably needed to be, but it is a feel good if you are looking for that. It should make you feel somewhat good. And then Dream While I'm Awake is kind of like another starry eyed one that's just a little bit more eyes to the sky, kind of more just dreamy and that type of stuff. I just didn't appreciate. It's not out of character for Jelly Roll because he is kind of, he does have like beliefs and that type of stuff, but it's just kind of one that's just not. I feel like, Tech Nine, Tupac, folks like that just handle some of those songs better. Sometimes even Eminem does that type of stuff, but those are about the only two duds. Other than that, just the intro and outro, which the outro is kind of more of like a country fried version of that, and it just kind of sounded like a little bit of an oddball one. And then intro, I just didn't appreciate the production on there. So those are just, I mean, but those aren't much of songs. That they just are labeled intro and outro. So I feel like basically getting 18 songs on here for a mixtape, that's pretty amazing. Just the fact that I like 16 out of 18 songs damn near. So this really happens to be a thing in terms of that. So just to talk about some of these highlights, I feel like In My Zone has one of the best beats on here. It's just a real kind of pulsating and just throbbing kind of club cut that just really works. This sounds like something Liddy out of like a 2013 nightclub, something like that. It's just a real kind of taunting and leery kind of song. Definitely excellent one. I feel like That's Cool is another song that's similar to that. Troubleshoot is a pretty nice club bop. This one's actually by a cat named Kasky, where it's more his song, but Jelly Roll features on there, and this is just an overall good one. So Troubleshoot's pretty similar to That's Cool and In My Zone. And I'm just going to list a bunch on here because there's 18 songs. It's going to be kind of tough to remember. We're going to be here for a while if I talk about these in depthly, but um, probably one of my favorite songs on this album is Black Girl Booty. This song has a lot of swag and charisma. It has a pretty nice slinky nightclub beat. It's an overall good song. I definitely like the concept of Black Girl Booty. It's just an overall good one. Um, there are a couple, like I was saying, there are a couple crossover songs. Like I feel like Never Give Up really has some pop rap potential. Definite kind of glistening one that just kind of has that sense. It's very much a hustle song. These are a couple hustle songs on here. And there's also a couple songs that are getting ready to go out. I like the concept of getting ready to go out type songs. Like I feel like So Long kind of has like a depressed kind of, So Long kind of has like a melancholy kind of hazy type beat for the evening, but it just has that kind of spark of energy where you're getting ready to do some stuff for the night and that type of stuff. Definitely like that one. What They Waiting On has like a particular kind of rockish, kind of synthy rockish type feel towards it. Very kind of thrilling and compelling type feel towards it. Just like the concept of just where this one's just kind of a hustle song, kind of like a delivery, like, hey, we're going to give you what you're looking for, that type of stuff. But it just kind of comes off to me as more of a song that you'd listen to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night when you're getting ready to have some good times. It's kind of one that's a little bit more gripping. And Guess Who's Back is kind of like a nice nightclub song. This is definitely one I would recommend for like a venue or something like that. It's just more of kind of like Jelly Roll, just laying down game and that type of stuff. It's an overall good one. It's like the sort of song that like Eminem would do with like it's the sort of song that Eminem would do with like Real Slim Shady, or like Cut Calhoun would do with the song like Get Cut, something like that. Just kind of an introductory type song. Definitely like that one. Yeah, like the kind of twinkling, kind of belly type stuff of Guess Who's Back just makes it kind of haunting in like a night oriented sense. I feel like Guess Who's Back and They Don't Want It are two similar beats that just kind of have like a real kind of twinkling, kind of dark oriented, kind of nightmarish kind of night feel towards them. I just kind of like the concept of some of those. They're just kind of very glimmering. Like Jelly Roll is someone who kind of flirts with the idea of horrorcore. He can cross over into some of that Tech Nine, Chris Calico, and like uh Hobson kind of territory as far as that's kind of concerned. So I definitely like the concept of getting some of these. They're just really sparkling, gleaming kind of songs on here. And I think that about takes care. Oh yeah, Freaky Girls. Freaky Girls is a really nice kind of mellow kind of song for the ladies. This one just has such a lazy and kind of mellow beat, but it's just an overall good freak song. Definitely like the concept of that one. Yeah, another song that's similar to In My Zone, That's Cool, and Troubleshoot is Team Still Strong. So there are some pretty litty nightclub moments. I definitely like the burst of like this night venue energy. It definitely, like, Jelly Roll establishes it pretty immediately that some of these like shifting kind of night venue type songs are just immediate highlights. These are very relevant, especially to like the 2010s decade or so, and they just continue to have like a gleam towards them that just sound really fresh and invigorating even in today's times. I mean, these are just ones that were probably state of the art back in 2013. But despite the fact that this mixtape is free, which I'm not complaining about, the fact is that these have a lot of bite, and that, you know, especially for club songs, these compete with albums that you could get for like $16.99 or something like that. They're just really good. That just really happens. So this is a good dose of something to definitely look into. Just don't overlook Jelly Roll thinking is because Dope Boy is the largest song and it just doesn't supposedly have any big name guests on here, big name guests on here, or like a charting single. Just because if you're used to like Dead Man Walking, Jelly Roll, and like his 2023 stuff and 2020 stuff, don't think that this is bad, because it ain't. That's just kind of the thing. So, but yeah, there's not really any big guests on here. I would have liked to have seen like Lil White on here, or Tech Nine, or someone like that. Someone that's kind of more. I mean, most of the guests that are on here are kind of a lot more low key. That are even more low key than Jelly Roll was back in 2013, which is not a bad thing. These guys like this Worm Cat does pretty well on here. He's a good compliment to Jelly Roll. But I just would kind of have to say I would have liked like someone like Tech Nine or Hobson or Chris Calico or something like that. But it would have been good. But other than that, I mean, basically this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's just that good. Me liking 16 out of 18 songs, really only not liking 2 songs, not counting the intro and outro. Especially me liking 16 out of 20 songs on a mixtape that's free is pretty awesome. So this definitely gets a 10. And I would have to say the social score is going to get a 10 also, because this is varietized. It has nightclub songs, but the whole album's not packed to the gills with them. There's some hustle songs on here. There's some moments that are kind of getting ready to go out that are good. There's some kind of like more, there's some songs for the ladies on here. There's like some, lots of other good moments that just kind of have, yeah, there's just a good overall assortment of like nightlife and disoriented type stuff that just kind of has that context, as far as just a lot of good kind of thriving moments. It makes sense that this project is called Whiskey, Weed, and Waffle House, because this is kind of Waffle House like life. If you're going to Waffle House at 3:45 a.m. and 6:15 a.m. and some of that type of stuff, this is very much, this can be demon time, but Jelly Roll is compatible enough to be able to have some tunes for like the day, like So Long, songs like So Long, Never Give Up, Living My Life. Some of those type moments are actually more crossover and kind of makeshift and that type of stuff. It doesn't cross over terribly into it, but it has enough to be able to say that if you're not just 6 a.m., 3 o'clock a.m. type fanfare, there is some stuff elsewise on here. So it's just pretty good to get that. So it's just good. 10 social. In terms of the future, like Jelly Roll just dropped an album in June of 2023 called like Whitsitt Chapel or something like that. So he's really starting to crest big. He's getting on like shows like American Idol and like those type shows. He's performing on television shows like American Idol and some of that type of stuff. So he's doing it big right now. It's good to see what will happen with him. But this is vintage Jelly Roll that kicks a lot of ass. So definitely look into it.